This is your News Source Evening Bulletin for today, Monday, the 25th day of May in the year 2020. I'm Gordon Mosley. Here is what we're tracking tonight. Guyana has recorded a new death from the coronavirus disease, taking the total number of deaths up to 11. The 11th death was confirmed over the past 24 hours after test results returned for a man who died suddenly in Region 1 on Friday. News Source understands that a man who traveled between Georgetown and the Interior District several times over the past few weeks became ill recently and was rushed to the hospital in Kamaka in Region 1 on Friday. He died shortly after. Moments before his death, a test was carried out on him after he showcased some of the symptoms of the disease. He would be the third case from the Region 1 area. One of the other two cases has since recovered. In its health report today, the Public Health Ministry revealed that 2 new cases were recorded over the past 24 hours, bringing to 10 the total number of new cases recorded in the past 2 days. Health officials are now reporting that most of the cases from the Region 7 community are minors. Health Minister Walter Lawrence.
I wish to draw your attention particularly to Region number 7, Cuyuna Mazaruni, where 7 positive cases have been identified. Most of these cases coming from the mining community. We are concerned, particularly because other mining communities can be affected, since our miners can transport this disease from the coastland into the interior. We recognize that our efforts in limiting the spread of this disease are dependent on this community coming fully on board with the regional health authorities as well as all other entities who have joined in fighting this disease.
Georgetown remains the epicenter for the virus in Guyana, with regions 3 and 10 following closely. The minister said a spike in cases is being witnessed even with a 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. curfew in effect.
The map that you see on the screen presents the distribution of the positive cases in the 10 administrative regions. Note, the epicenter remains region number 4, specifically Georgetown, our capital, closely followed by region number 3 and region number 10. It must be highlighted that even with the curfew in effect, we have witnessed a spike in the number of cases.
On the eve of the Independence Day holiday, the Public Health Ministry is encouraging persons to stay at home and spend time with their families and avoid social gatherings. More news is coming up in a moment.
We all want to stay in touch, right? Now, even more than ever before. So to keep your connection strong, GTT is going 2 for 2. Combine GTT mobile and home internet services and we'll give you 2 gigs of free mobile data each month. With 2 GTT services, you're fully connected at home and on the go. Visit us online at gtt.co.gy/2for2 to learn more and start doing more with 2 for 2 from GTT. Stay safe, stay strong, Guyana. We're in this together.
GBTI is your Guyanese bank, a bank that understands every customer's unique needs, opportunities, challenges, and financial concerns. At GBTI, we see you for you. Whether you're buying a new home or car, planning your next vacation or retirement, saving for your child's future, or whether you're ready to take that bold step of investing in your dream business idea, we are with you every step of the way. We hear your stories and watch you focus on your dreams as we share your aspirations. We are more than just banking. We are a family. We are part of your community. Our commitment extends way beyond the walls of our branches and is demonstrated every day in the opportunities we provide to our individual and business customers. The support, time, and commitment we give back to communities across Guyana to help improve the lives of our Guyanese families. Because we see Guyana through your eyes.
Parents and guardians, you are encouraged to tune in to the Guyana Learning Channel, Cable 29 or Channel 42, for daily educational and interactive learning sessions. The nursery program airs from 6 hours to 9 hours. Primary programs from 9 hours to 12 noon. We also air informative documentaries from 12 noon to 13 hours, and our secondary level programs are aired from 13 hours to 15 hours. Please continue to listen to our radio broadcasts. The interactive radio instruction for grades 1 to 3 daily on Voice of Guyana from 9 hours 30 to 10 hours for grade 1 pupils, from 10 hours 30 to 11 hours for grade 2s, and 13 hours to 13 hours 30 for grade 3 pupils. Please remember to tune in to benefit from these educational opportunities. A message from the Ministry of Education.
Are you washing your hands correctly? Here are some tips on when and how to wash your hands. Step 1. Wet your hands with clean water. Step 2. Then apply soap. Step 3. For 10 to 15 seconds, lather your palms together. Always remember to pay attention to your fingers, especially your nails and tips. And don't forget the back and between of your fingers. Step 4. Rinse hands with clean water for about 20 seconds. Step 5. Dry hands with a clean paper towel or tissue.
But when should you wash your hands? After using the toilet, before and after eating, preparing or handling uncooked food, after playing with pets or caring for animals, after sneezing and coughing or blowing your nose, before and after changing babies or caring for others.
Frequent hand washing or using a hand sanitizer with alcohol as an alternative will remove viruses and bacteria from your hands.
A message from the Ministry of Public Health in collaboration with PAHO WHO.
Welcome back. As the number of coronavirus cases in Guyana continue to climb, the National COVID-19 Task Force is expected to make a decision soon on the extension of the current curfew measures. A source close to the task force told News Source today that the increase in cases cannot be ignored, and systems might have to be tightened to get citizens to pay much more attention to the deadly disease and bringing the numbers down. The official explained that several members of the task force are recommending a total shutdown for at least a week or two, as persons continue to ignore the health guidelines and current curfew measures that are in place. The current health emergency measures expire on the 3rd of June. The task force is likely to make a decision on the extension and possible total shutdown ahead of that expiration date. On Sunday, scores of persons ignored the stay-home advice that is part of the national health emergency measures and gathered at a seawall behind the Marriott Hotel for a Sunday hang. Additionally, police officers were called to creeks along the Linden-Suslike Highway, where dozens of persons also gathered. Over the weekend, too, a number of house parties and backyard parties had to be broken up by the police. A total lockdown could force many of the essential businesses that are allowed to operate right now to close their doors, leaving just pharmacies and health institutions open. While there are many who support a total lockdown, those opposing such a move have pointed to the absence of any stimulus support from the government for citizens. Guyana has been battling the coronavirus since the 11th of March. While many Caribbean countries have seen their numbers decline over the past weeks and no new cases being recorded, Guyana is still seeing its cases climbing steadily. And let's tell you now that at least 6 of the recent cases that tested positive for the coronavirus are residents of the PAM's Geriatric home, and the situation is worrying for the administrators. Director of Social Services in the Ministry of Social Protection, Wenwer Tanner, told News Source today that the PAM's has been working closely with the Public Health Ministry to get residents tested following the first set of cases.
We were testing in phases because there's over 200 residents and everyone could not have been tested at the same time. 200 residents and over 100 staff. In the third phase of the testing that was conducted, I think, it was last Friday. Last Friday. We got back the results and some additional persons had tested positive.
Mr. Tanner explained that none of the positive cases are staff members, but all staff members are still being screened when they report for duty. He said while systems are in place to safeguard staff members at work, there is no control over those staff members once they leave for home.
We are doing that in terms of persons getting to work. Yes, many persons use public transportation. We also have very limited control over what persons do once they leave the facility, which is a very big concern for us. We are screening staff coming into the PAMs. The challenge is the fact that persons may be contagious, may have been infected, and of course are contagious, but they do not show any signs.
The social services director said that another ward at the PAM's geriatric home has been cleared out to be used for any possible additional cases. He said the positive cases are currently being housed in the infirmary of the PAM's home, but the space there for accommodation of additional cases is limited.
As we speak, we are making accommodations for additional cases in a separate ward. We are clearing a space out to ensure that those persons who have tested positive, and God forbid if we have additional cases, that they will be housed in a separate area, because the infirmary's capacity is only so much. And beyond that, we will have to find additional space for persons.
And he said while the latest news is worrying, he's pleased to report that the residents who were among the first batch to be tested positive and were isolated are now stable.
What I'd like to say, at least from the first batch, they are still to do their second round of testing, which should be done sometime this week. However, those persons are pretty stable so far. I hope that it remains that way, because of course this virus is very tricky in terms of how it, how persons react to it. But so far, those persons are stable, and we are continuing to care for them in our infirmary.
The first case of the coronavirus at the PAM's geriatric home was recorded during the first week of this month after a test was carried out on a bedridden resident who'd passed away. There were 4 other positive cases a week after that first case. Now there are 6 new cases at the geriatric home. The PAM's was one of the first places to be completely cut off from visitations after the coronavirus surfaced in Guyana back in early March. The World Bank has approved $1 million to assist Guyana in its fight against the coronavirus. The money is expected to go directly to initiatives in the health sector to aid in the fight against the disease. The money falls under the Pandemic Emergency Financing Facility of the World Bank and is to be used strictly to finance response efforts during COVID-19. Those efforts include supporting frontline health workers, sourcing drugs and medicines and essential and critical life-saving medical equipment, non-medical equipment, essential life-saving goods, minor civil work services, transportation, communication, and coordination. Guyana is also set to receive assistance through the Caribbean Development Bank and other financial institutions and governments. The United Kingdom recently approved $3 million in funding for initiatives in the Caribbean to tackle the coronavirus. Guyana is set to receive support under that initiative also. In the world of politics right now, still confident that it won the 2nd of March elections, the APNU-AFC coalition today called on the Guyana Elections Commission to address the issue of the large number of ballots that did not carry that 6-digit stamp that should have been placed on them by presiding officers. APNU-AFC executive member Joe Harmon said the current recount that is ongoing has pointed to fraud and GCOM must present answers. He made specific reference to ballots from the discipline services, which should have been stamped while being intermixed with the other votes, but many were not.
Now these discipline services ballots are not stamped at the time when the ballots are cast. This is a little different between the discipline services and the regular ballots. So they will cast the ballots, and then these ballots will be placed in envelopes for the different electoral districts. When these ballots now go to the returning officer will assign these ballots to what are called intermixing stations. So at an intermixing station, what happens is that these ballots are opened, they are then stamped with a 6-digit stamp of that intermixing station. Then they are counted, and then it is placed in the box. What our agents have discovered is that on numerous occasions, these ballots were not stamped and they were deemed invalid. So what that means is that a vast number of our discipline services men and women, their votes were not counted. We have called upon GCOM to ensure that the votes of the discipline services, that they are counted. We will insist on that.
Mr. Harman said there have been several anomalies uncovered during the recount which have raised questions about the credibility of the elections. Many of the issues, he noted, cannot be dismissed or treated as just mistakes.
We look at the discovery of wrong lists in ballot boxes. You have, at the end of the count at a polling place, documents are placed in a ballot box. The list for that ballot box is placed in that ballot box. Now we are reopening these ballot boxes. You find the list from one box in another box. How is that possible? Some hand had to go into that box after it was sealed and do what they had to do and mix up the lists. Put one box list in another box. So this is the second issue that GCOM has to resolve.
Harman said GCOM cannot ignore the issues and remain silent on them. He also noted that the recount is expected to uncover additional issues as it goes along.
We expect to uncover more instances of fraud by the end of this process. But make no mistake, the AP and AFC coalition has been and remains confident that we were successful at the polls. We, however, must stay focused on the validity of each vote, which gives credibility to the entire process. We cannot allow electoral fraud by the PPP to prevail over our democratic process.
The recount of votes is now continuing for regions 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, and 9. The recount has been completed for regions 1, 2, and 5. The Georgetown Chamber of Commerce and Industry, which is one of the local observer groups at the National Recount of Votes, is calling for additional workstations to be allocated for the Region 4 recount. In a statement today, the GCCI said its main concern is the speed at which the District 4 count is proceeding. The body noted that at the end of Sunday, only 31% of District 4 ballot boxes were completed. District 4 is the largest voting region with 879 ballot boxes. The Chamber said it is of the opinion that additional stations to the existing 12 should be put in place, and these stations should be entirely devoted to District 4, which already has 3 stations allocated to it. Once those stations are put in place, the Chamber believes the recount for District 4 could be completed within a reasonable time frame. Despite its concerns over the slot of the recount for District 4, the Chamber of Commerce said the recount is proceeding smoothly, albeit not at the pace it would like to see. It said the staff of the Guyana Elections Commission has displayed a high level of professionalism in carrying out their functions, and the Georgetown Chamber of Commerce intends to make its preliminary observation report public for interested persons to view, which it says will lend to a better understanding of its advocacy positions. The Chamber said its concerns have always centered around the tabulation for District 4, which it observed and can attest was not done in a transparent manner.
Wondering how you can access free learning materials for your children? Parents and guardians, please visit the Ministry of Education's website at www.education.gov.gy to access textbooks, past papers, and practice tests to keep your child engaged in continuous learning. When you have accessed the site, go to the Students tab, wait for a second, and choose the appropriate option. You now have access to the resources you need. You are encouraged to take advantage of this opportunity as we strive to provide the best education for the nation's children. A message from the Ministry of Education.
They've made a positive impact on the heavy-duty transportation industry in Guyana since they've arrived. Guyanese are amazed at their power, durability, efficiency, and superior handling capabilities. These are brand new trucks, manufactured in partnership with German, Italian, and French companies. They have a powerful reputation for operating under very adverse Guyanese conditions and come with full after-sales service and spare parts. They're the most sought-after trucks today, with over 500 units in Guyana, and they're available in over 100 countries, including South America and the Caribbean. Be smart. Buy brand new ST Howo trucks today. Call 608-4998 and arrange for an inspection at ST Truck Guyana Incorporated, Block B, Public Road, Covenant, East Bank, Demerara.
We are legions of men standing strong, but never too proud to stoop and help someone. We must send a clear signal to all. Do right. Walk in upright ways. knowing that's what being a man is all about, and ever aware that things will only get worse when good men do nothing. Stand strong. Be the one to live right.
Falls, a trademark of China's Zhanghao Incorporated, located at Land of Cane in East Bank, Demerara, was incorporated in April of 2013 with over $10 billion Guyana dollars invested in a state-of-the-art 100,000 barrel fuel storage facility, a modern service station, an office complex, and a modern wharf that can berth international vessels. Having no association with any other fuel company, Falls imports its own fuel, which meets quality specifications, has all the legal permits, and is in compliance with international requirements. Its bulk facility can load 8 trucks simultaneously at a rate of 1,000 liters per minute, while the service station can service 12 cars at a time using computerized fuel pumps, which can facilitate the use of ATM cards. Through its professional team of mostly Guyanese, Falls wholesales and retails fuels to the public, including farmers and miners, and will continue to positively contribute to Guyana by providing quality products, service, and attractive prices. Try Falls today for all your fuel needs.
The following is an important message from the Ministry of Public Health. Getting your workplace ready for COVID-19. Surfaces such as desks, tables, and telephones with keyboards must be wiped with disinfectant regularly, or at least every few hours. Use containers of hand sanitizers and place them in prominent places around the workplace. Provide access to places where staff can wash their hands with soap and water, and promote regular hand washing at the workplace. The Ministry of Public Health has a hotline to provide information on the coronavirus. Members of the public can call 227-4986 or 624-3067.
Across the region right now, we begin in St. Kitts Nevis, where the Prime Minister Dr. Timothy Harris has announced that borders of the Twin Island Federation will remain closed, effectively dashing the hopes of overseas nationals who would have wanted to travel home to cast their ballots, as had been the case in past general elections. In a radio and television broadcast, the Prime Minister said the general election on the 5th of June will be held as the country continues with its efforts to curb the spread of the coronavirus. He said new regulations would remain in force until the 13th of June, and that the nightly curfew remains in place and must be adhered to. The Prime Minister also told the nation that his Team Unity administration, which will face challenge from the main opposition, St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party, for control of the 11 seats in the National Assembly, is committed to keeping the people safe. And let's tell you now that St. Lucia on Sunday welcomed home nationals who were stranded overseas due to the coronavirus pandemic. Through the ongoing repatriation process of the 151 St. Lucians stranded overseas, some arrived from Canada and Barbados. The Department of Health and Wellness has granted permission for the arrival and disembarkation processes, following which all carriers will depart St. Lucia. In accordance with health and safety protocols, officials said all frontline personnel at ports of entry will facilitate arrivals wearing the necessary personal protective equipment. It added that each national will be screened upon arrival and daily while accommodated at a government-operated quarantine facility. The nationals will be tested for the coronavirus during their quarantine if they show any symptoms. And finally tonight, international news. Hong Kong needs a controversial new security law to tackle growing terrorism, according to the territory's security chief. John Lee said the city had become shrouded in the shadow of violence. After months of quiet, this weekend saw a fresh surge of protests after the government in Beijing proposed a security law that would radically change Hong Kong's unique status. Opponents say it is a direct attempt to limit freedoms and silence critics. Taiwan's President Xi Jinping has offered her support to Hong Kong residents, warning Beijing against using, as she put it, bullets and repression in the semi-autonomous territory. And that's your News Source Evening Bulletin for tonight. I'm Gordon Mosley reporting.